Okay, guys, it's Bob here for StrikeHold for Force 5 Products, and I want to talk to you about a 3,000-year-old problem. For 3,000 years plus, man has been able to refine metals, and from the day one, those metals corroded. Okay, there's just hasn't been a satisfactory system for preventing that in the history of mankind using metals. So it's more than 3,000 years they've been using. You have your Bronze Age and Iron Age, and then we made steel and so on, and we're still making it. And you know what? They're all still corroding. Those things are still corroding today. There's no way to apply the kinds of grease or some type of oils and lubricants on them. Almost all are based on some type of grease or oily substance that's smeared on there. Paint is another thing that they've used, which originally also was an oil base and some pigment in there that helped to protect whatever you put it on. But it has not been a particularly sophisticated system. Today, and we paint ships at sea with paint. Okay, we put primer coats on them and then we paint them, and what happens? Okay, immediately underneath the paint, the metal corrodes, and the paint comes blistering off, and we have to chip that off and grind it off back down to whatever useful metal is again, prime it and do it again. Extremely expensive, a lot of bother, and just get right down to it, doesn't work very well. Okay. So somebody had to come up with a whole lot of difference in technology to make a decided change in what's going on. And we did that. Michael Huggard did it. Michael Huggard developed a product that he called StrikeHold for the motto of his old Army unit, the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 82nd Airborne. Their motto was strike and hold. So Mike called his product StrikeHold. We don't know why. Okay, just nostalgia, I guess. Not a particularly memorable or easy to remember name, but we had a little bit of traction in the firearms industry with that, so we stayed with that. The company name is Force 5 Products, and we make other things. But the purchase of the StrikeHold brand has been a focus of ours for several years now, primarily because the technology of how to prevent corrosion and electrical issues with the blend of chemicals that make up that product is so remarkable. We have just tremendous number of people that are using this on everything from circuit boards to aircraft and a variety of in-betweens. But I mean, it's protecting boats at sea and aircraft in the air and military aircraft on carriers and submarine parts. I wouldn't say submarine per se, but it's the sonobuoys that we use to protect our nation offshore. This is protecting them from corrosion. Believe it, it's out there. We're using it in thousands of different ways, and that's a little bit of our issue. Is we've got so many different things that this does well that we sometimes get kind of flustered and confused with it. But the reality of this is the technology works great. The chemical works great. It's cheap to use. It has a tremendous value. When you consider a few dollars worth of this can protect millions of dollars worth of hardware or electronics, it is just ridiculously how good that value proposition is. And we're making it every day, and we're selling it every day, and we're moving it around the world. Some of our strongest sales are actually in the South Pacific, emanating from the Australian dealer we have in Brisbane. We are an international company. We're soon to open a business there in Australia that belongs to the company here. So there's any number of different things that I can tell you that are super positive reports. But the first and most prevalent thing that we have is a guarantee. We guarantee this works. If it doesn't work, you call us, we send you your money back. Okay? How much more can we do? If you have anything in your life that's corroding, and let's face it, who doesn't, okay, then you need this product. If you are one of the 50% of the population that lives close to salt water, you need it desperately. If you live very close to salt water, you can stand there and watch your air conditioning system corrode. You need our HVAC product on that. It just stops that whole process. There's no corrosion at all with our HVAC product on there, including spraying it all over your switch gear and connections and everything in that vicinity that has any propensity for corrosion. The HVAC contractors were approached with this last year, and wow, as amazed as they were with it, they didn't like it because they're used to taking your money about every 5 or 6 years replacing a multi-$1,000 HVAC system, and they kind of like that. Okay, they could see their business going down the tube by giving you a product that stops the corrosion and makes your air conditioning system live the 15 to 20 years that it should if it was in Omaha, Nebraska. And now it's at Morehead City, North Carolina, and it's lasting the same way. Or it's in Florida, or it's in Miami, or wherever it is in the Caribbean. Think about it. Salt water covers 5/7 of the planet. Anybody who has air conditioning or refrigeration anywhere close to salt water, and I'm calling that about 30 kilometers, about 20 miles, you desperately need this product. So just keep it in mind, and buy a few cans. It's cheap, okay? So I think a can of this is like $24.95, including shipping. You can't do any better than that to keep anything from corroding. And the technology is such that it's not oil. It doesn't float on top of the water. It doesn't float off when it gets wet. It doesn't smear off and go away, or it goes on wet. The solvent dries completely off. It leaves a dry finish, a film so complete that you can't pass an electrical charge through it into water. And it's there. It just won't allow moisture through it. It won't allow oxygen through that layer. If you can't get oxygen and water in contact with the metal, regardless of what kind of metal it is, you can't get it to corrode. So, and how often do you need to put it on there? It depends a little bit on the application. If you're spraying it up on your ATV and you got under the wheel wells where the sand is blasting constantly, you're gonna need to put it on there every few weeks. But just a squirt. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to take the old stuff off and put on some new. You just spray it on there. It goes. You can't build it up. It's, as I said, you spray it under those wheel wells. Anywhere else that's suspect from being blasted up by the sand and grit from use, and you're good to go. And worst case, spray the whole thing. It doesn't cost that much. Okay. And we got people on Turtle Island on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia that have been using our product, our marine product, on their ATVs and vehicles there on Turtle Island, where they maintain a presence for the turtles that come there and lay their eggs and everything, and keep people from bothering them. So they're constantly patrolling and doing things for the benefit of those animals, which we highly support. In the past, their machines would last a maximum of 3 years, and they would be a rusted hulk ready to go to the junkyard at that point. Now this has been 3 years that they've been using our product there, and they put it on there. They spray the whole thing down about once every couple of weeks. Again, it doesn't cost much, it doesn't take much time. These machines, after 3 years used in that warm saltwater environment on Turtle Island on the Great Barrier Reef, look like new, and they still operate like new. So they'll still swap them out after 3 years because that's just what their rotation is. But what they say is that they're going to be able to sell these and recover a lot of cost of what that original machine was. So the differential between getting new ones in and disposing of the old ones is going to be a lot less. They're going to save tons of money. They couldn't be happier. They're actively engaged in making videos for us right now to tell people about the Turtle Island Sanctuary and our contribution by way of providing product there. We don't give it to them, they buy it. But we turned them on to it and got them interested, and and they're a very, very happy customer. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customers like that in every walk of life. Why don't you be one of them? You know you've got things that are corroded. You know you got everything. Look on our YouTube site. There's somebody up there spraying their garage door rollers, and there's my wife probably, she does it, but they're clean. There's no grit and gruel up there, no black and crud on the rollers squeaking and squawking. It's all just dry lubricant on there. You can't hear it going up and down hardly. Cars, boats, aircraft. We've got 2 aircraft manufacturers that spray a lot of things down. One of them sprays everything on their aircraft with our StrikeHold marine product. And they started out with just putting it in their parts area in their warehouse to keep things from corroding in there. Now they're spraying it inside their wing structures and the fuselage, and they even did one that they told me about where they sprayed the outside of the fuselage when it was ready to go in the paint shop, wiped it down, let it dry overnight, and then rolled that $1 million airplane into the paint shop and painted right over the top of our StrikeHold marine product. It had one more layer of corrosion protection in there, which is a lot of people don't realize this, but corrosion is #1 killer of aircraft. I mean, the structural parts corrode, and they're not all some super titanium thing, and even titanium has some challenges when you get into things like helicopter landing gear and things that are at sea on helicopter carriers in our Marines. So the number of uses around the house, just the hinges and all. When you put regular oil like 3-in-1 oil or any of the WD wrench, whatever it is, I'm not hammering those guys. They have their uses. I can't think of one right offhand, but they do. And when you spray those things on your hinges, or you put some of that oil on your hinges, it works. I mean, they'll stop squeaking for a while, but the oil components desiccate. The more volatile ones actually dry, and the less volatile ones are usually more sticky. And you also have anything that comes in contact with them, dust or anything else in the home gets in contact with that oil, it stays there. So you get this black looking crud on your hinge, and it's getting less effective every day as more junk gets in there. With the StrikeHold product, you spray it on there, you can't tell it's there. It dries in a matter of hours, and still provides that polymer lubricant that we have in there, so it doesn't squeak. It works perfectly. You put it in your keyhole in your locks in the door, and it's like turning a key in hot butter for a long time. Give it a little squirt a couple times a year maybe, and you can't believe how easy your lock works. So there's just any number of different things that you can do. Bicycles, chain on a bicycle. You put oil on a chain, what happens? Immediately start building up all the crud and sand and everything that's flying up around that chain. That just is not good for the chain. It is not good for anything. So it grinds and groans, and you're back at cleaning the chain and putting more oil on it. It's kind of a never-ending process. You spray it with StrikeHold, it'll get all that crap off of it, and when it dries, it's still dry lubricant on the sprocket and on the chain and all the parts. It's really good to drip some down in your the brake cables and on motorcycles, throttle cables and things. It works wonderfully because it dries. It doesn't leave that oily grit in there. It's super on chrome, protect it from corrosion. Take your $30,000 or so Harley Davidson down to the beach and drive around for a day or two or a week whenever you stay down there, and then put it back in the trailer and bring it home. And even if you washed it before you put it in there, it's still got salt on it some places. And now here you go, you bring it back to someplace away from the beach and park it there in your garage, and it starts to corrode. You didn't even realize it until you actually get corrosion on there. If you put StrikeHold on there, it just doesn't happen. You don't even see it. It shines the chrome, but you don't see it's there. There's no visible film of anything on there, and yet it won't corrode. How much better can it get? From your screen wire to your doorknobs at the beach house to your bicycle, whatever else you're using down there. If you have an e-bike or an e-scooter, They don't warranty them against you driving it even on a rainy day, okay? You spray that down, you spray that motor down and all your connections on your battery and everything with StrikeHold, you can drive it through the water and won't hurt it. Exactly. Those things will work underwater with StrikeHold in them if you apply it properly. And we can tell you how to do that. So, ending up right now, I don't know how long I've been talking, but long enough, it's about 15 minutes. So we'll cut this down or we'll do whatever. It's a webinar for you, but let me tell you, this is some great stuff. You can just not imagine how many different things StrikeHold can ease the pain of your life by just putting a little bit on in a lot of places. And it's positively 100% money back guaranteed. You will not be disappointed. If you are, get your money back. All right? We've had a money back guarantee for a long time. To my knowledge, it's never been used. Thanks a bunch. Bobby Williams here for StrikeHold.